So I thought it was time for an update on the DIY greenhouse. I made a video back in January, I believe. Probably February? No, it was January. And showing you guys how to do a little greenhouse indoors since I was going to be starting seeds this year. And I was really excited to test it out. There were a few modifications from that video. So I figured I should, share that with you guys and let you guys know how everything worked out. But overall, I am happy. I am very happy. Things are sprouting without any problems. This is actually second, third batch of seeds I've done. I don't know. I've been rotating this guy so much, but they've been doing great. So originally we had let's see, just the LED lights on. Just the LED lights on the back there that wrapped around the rope LED lights. And those were not enough. When the seedlings started getting leggy, I basically added one regular light bulb in there and another one down below. And that, I knew that was just a temporary thing because I knew I needed to get something better. So I figured I would get this too. And those are garage lights. They're LEDs. They are super bright. So I got that set and I had one up there and then one down there. And I didn't have anything for down there. So I was actually just using a Snap-on shop light in that side and then a regular light bulb on that side. But it didn't look great. But it almost did the job. It almost did. But I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have to worry too much about that. So I decided to get more of those. However, when I went online, they had a better deal for these guys, which look almost exactly the same, but they are bigger. They have more light. So I went for those and I got 2 sets just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. And that has been working out amazing. So these guys are pretty flexible. So as the plants get a little bit tall, basically I can shift this up and down. I have it set up like this. So these are just screw-ons. So it's super easy. It's so easy to just screw it on, right? And I got this adapter from Lowe's or Home Depot, one of those places. And that's just a regular, extension cord. And I don't know, that makes me a little concerned just because they're so, they're scary. But because I have them on a surge protector, I think it'll be fine. So basically I ended up with 2 lights there, 2 lights there, 2 lights there, plus the LEDs that, the rope light LEDs that I originally put in there. And to be honest, at this point, they don't really need the LEDs. I can just get by with this 2 and those 2. And down here, I actually don't use it that much. This is stuff that needs to go outside to the greenhouse already. So these guys are going to go out today. Yeah, I think today. Possibly tomorrow, depending on the weather, because we got a storm and, well, it wasn't full on storm, but, rain. And it's a little chilly. And these guys have had happy conditions pretty much all the time. So I don't want to stress them out or anything. But yeah, so they just got transplanted. They were, so I did have problems here with my seedlings, okay? It wasn't all perfect. But to be fair, it wasn't due to lighting. Once I got those guys, that wasn't the problem. The problem is that, like I mentioned in previous videos, when I started the seeds in the little Ziploc bags, I actually got sick, so I didn't get a chance to go buy potting soil, seed starting. I didn't get a chance to buy any of that. All I had was cocoa coir because I was basically getting ready to do cuttings at that point, or I had prepared, I had extra, I can't remember, but I had cocoa coir. So I planted every single thing in just cocoa coir, nothing else. And the tomatoes, after a little while, they were so yellow. There was no nutrition in there whatsoever. So I was having to fertilize them by hand. And, that's just not ideal. So eventually I had to basically transplant them into soil. And, oh my goodness, it was like in 2 days you saw the huge difference. They were bright green. Their leaves were growing. It was amazing. They actually outgrew this top shelf. So I had to actually take them out at that point. But now these guys were starting to do that. My little peppers, they were starting to get yellow. And the thing is that these guys were also in coco coir. They were done at the same time. So I had to transplant them. So they just got transplanted yesterday. But already they are looking so much better. But yeah, that was pretty much the issue I had. It's just that I had planted all of this in coco coir, straight coco coir, so there was no nutrition. But once that problem was addressed and I was able to mix my soil and everything, I've been able to pretty much keep everything in check. And things are looking good. They're looking happy. But look at that. So everything's looking good. And I am getting to test out quite a few things, that normally I wouldn't be able to test out right now because it's still too cold outside. But in here, maybe if I can keep them here for 2 weeks, maybe, then take them to the outside greenhouse for maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. And then maybe we'll find a super warm spot in the garden where they can actually be planted. So I'm hoping that's the case because I already started my okra. I started my Malabar spinach. I started chibil. But for the most part, this little greenhouse has been doing amazing at preparing them for the outside world. And yeah, I thought they would get cold. So I have this plastic here. In the other video, you can see how it just wraps around. It's just held by a clip here, and it just goes and clips over on this side, So there's foil and there's plastic. But so it's pretty basic. Oh, sorry, kitty. So it's pretty basic. However, it actually worked out great. So these guys actually do get quite a bit warm back here. In here, I can touch them and it's warm, but back here it gets hot. So that's I mean, it's not ideal normally, but these are meant for garages, and those places are usually pretty cool. But see, the heat rises, and then it warms up this section. So I'm actually, oh, don't mind this is the wrong label. But I'm actually been able to grow more seeds here in little baggies. So those are Cosmos, I believe. But I'm going to be doing different things. Then I have cuttings, more cuttings, and more cuttings. Because, I mean, if it's warm, there's no point in wasting that space. We can definitely use that space for stuff, sprouting seeds. And once they sprout, so for instance, these guys, once they sprout, they're probably going to come down here because this space will be available at that point. And if it doesn't, if I take them out straight to the greenhouse because it happens to be warm enough, then I can remove these 2 lights. Or I can leave them because they too are providing warmth to this shelf. The lighting has pretty much been the only heating source in here, but it's constantly between, I don't know, when the lights are off, it's usually around 60 to 70. And when the lights are on, it's anywhere between 80 to 95. But sometimes when if I do close the plastic cover now, then we get into 100. So I try and avoid that as much as I can. And it's pretty much the lighting that allowed all that. So the lighting is giving out warmth, which is helping all of those things sprout. And then it's providing enough light, and it's flexible enough that it pretty much works for most plants here until they're ready to go out, until they're tall enough. And, I also think it's a pretty good use of space because it's actually not that big, but I am getting a lot of sprouts from it, a lot of seedlings from it. So I definitely think it's worth it. I'm super glad I did this. Let's see. Will I be doing it next year? Yes, for sure. But here's a couple things that I will be changing. So in a previous greenhouse that I had 2 apartments ago, I had it inside my closet, but that was it scared me that I was going to start a fire or anything. But I had cardboard wrapped in foil, and I guess it was just sturdier that way because anytime I tap it, anytime I lean on it, it just jiggles and it makes this loud, foil paper. So I either need to tape it more, everywhere, because it pretty much just has a couple little pieces of tape here and there randomly, not a lot. So I think next year I'm either gonna put like a cardboard coating on the outside just to keep the foil from shaking so much, or I don't know, or maybe find something else that's reflective. But I did like the foil because it really does reflect the heat back. Like you can feel like a huge difference just in this whole general area. In fact, I kind of wish I had made doors for it somehow so that it could just contain everything in there. I could just close the doors. And I think I would need maybe less light, and then at the same time, like it would stay warmer in there. So I think that's something that I will consider. But I don't want it to look really bad, and I also don't want to put any extra effort if it's not going to work. But I mean, is noise really too much of a problem? You know, it's that kind of thing. I'll consider it. Like I said, those guys are pretty much kind of like extra, but once I take everything out, I can actually just have like nice plants here. It'll look pretty. If I harvest food, I can just keep it here. So I mean, it's still going to be used. It's just going to be used for pretty purposes, not necessarily for seedlings, because I cannot, I don't know, it's taking care of seedlings year round I think would stress me out. So we're not doing that. And something else, the cables. So this time, because they were made after the video was done, after I had, you know, pretty much set everything in place, I didn't get to play around with this. But I think next time, if I'm still using this, guys, I'm just going to run them back here and then go down there where the little LED lights go through. And basically I'm going to make the hole bigger so that they can come through there too, so that these cables, so that these cables can actually come through there. And that way they can just come out and they just go through the back and plug in into everything. Because right now they're just right out here in the open. And I don't know, I don't love this, you know, but it works, you know, whatever works for now. I just need to make sure that something works. Once I have the sign that I like, then I can just, you know, perfect it a little more. Not imperfect it. Then I can improve on it a little more. There we go. But in the meantime, this has done a really good job. I'm really happy. I have them set up on surge protector, so I just turn that off. And then I do this, you know, with the little dial, turn that off, and then everything's off. Okay, and also somebody actually asked about the power usage on this, about the electric bill. So let's go ahead and address that, because that is something to be, you know, thoughtful about. And okay, so the two lights down there, those are actually shop lights. They're garage lights. They're LEDs, and they are 120 watts each. 12,000 lumens and 6,500 Kelvin. The other four over there, those are, let's see, those are 150 watts, 15,000 lumens, and also 6,500 Kelvin. The LEDs over there, I couldn't find a wattage in the description or in the paperwork. But yeah, so the little LED lights, the rope lights, those are 12 volts and 6,500 Kelvin. And it's 40 feet of LED lights. But it's 12 volts, and I'm not sure how that translates. But for instance, I have a, you know, space heater, and most space heaters are 1,500 watts, and mine is energy efficient, so it's 1,000 watts. And for that one, it uses 120 volts, whereas this LED light uses 12 volts. So I'm assuming it's really, really light usage if I'm comparing it on that. But once again, I'm not an electrician, so I'm not sure what that means. And yeah, so okay, so basically, so those two lights, and then those two lights, they all add up to about 840 watts. So that's less than my space heater. So for instance, this heater over here is 120 volts and 1,000 watts. And all of those 6 lights combined come up to 840 watts. So it's actually less electricity than a space heater, which I think it's still within a good range. But also, so there were some lights that I was using there after I realized the LEDs were not enough, and those were regular LED light bulbs. And so those actually have been replacing all the light bulbs inside the apartment here. So we replaced all the light bulbs with 9 watt bulbs, and just did a whole bunch more. So we went from like 300 watts to like 36 watts or something. I don't know. It was something ridiculous. So we have been saving electricity in that aspect. So I think it balances out with this. And then also we had a heat lamp in the greenhouse outside, and in one of the outdoor greenhouses, and that busted. So that's done. And that was done at about the same time when we started to start my seeds in here. So I think so that was about 250 watts as well that we're saving. So that's about, I don't know, I'm going to say about 500 watts that we got rid of and then brought in 840. So I think it balances out a little bit. If the bill had been a lot higher, I would have heard about it. I'm not the one that pays the electricity here, but I definitely would have heard about it if it was an issue. But like I said, we have actually been replacing fixtures with energy efficient, so our energy has actually been going down. So I think that's why even if there was a little bit of an increase, it wouldn't be noticeable. But there's also solar. So there's actually solar panels on the property, and so a lot of the times I think the energy actually gets sold back to the company PG&E. So I'm not quite sure how that works or how much, I don't know how that happens. I'm not in charge of that section. So but yeah, so I know that either way it just didn't affect us, but those are things that I take into consideration. So I hope that explains it. I hope I answered your questions. Basically, electricity-wise, it was fine. We didn't see a spike, so that was really good. The sprouting has not been an issue because the lights themselves, even though they were providing light, they also provided heat. So that was really cool. Space wise, it's great. So we got space, it was efficient. We had different levels of heat so that we could switch back and forth if we needed to. And I am very happy with it. I will definitely be trying it next year, but I will be making some modifications just to account for the cables and the plastics and all of that. So but thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much. This is Kat, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.